And even now, I enter a disclaimer, I am not responsible for non-payment at that level. But the issues there is that when I read commentators about local government autonomy, you know, we use these words as if they represent something in themselves, as if they are values to be celebrated. It can be autonomy to mismanage, it can also be autonomy to manage well. But my thesis is, no one is too good to have full autonomy. Even the federal government can't have full, absolute autonomy. That's why if they are not checked by parliament, they should be checked by organized groups, whether they are civil society, they are organized labor, they are religious leaders, and many people have been commenting authoritatively on government policies. And I think that is the way it should be. That is the real value of democracy, not the voting once in 4 years. It is the day-to-day interrogation of those who exercise political discretion, those who formulate public policies, the choices and the values that inform their choices. Those are the issues that are the heart of a free society, for which free citizens should feel able to engage and canvass. Then the pensions. When I assumed office on 2008, I was shocked to find those retired in 1998, military government, they were not paid their gratuities, they were not paid their pension. And then, and because I don't want to be too political today, not because my friendship with Duke, because when I talk to census, I'm talking of his political party. They dismiss about 7,000 persons. I have to stop the traffic. So if one fail, the other one will walk. I found that people who retire in 2000, in 1998, were not paid gratuity, they were not paid pension. Those who were dismissed, several thousand of them, by the elected government in 2000, they were not paid gratuities, they were not paid their pension. Now I assume office November 12, 2008, which means I inherited 1998, 99, 2000, and then up to 2008, that is 11 years pension arrears. But let's face some reality here. Quote, I want to be able to service those debts because government is a continuum, but not at the expense of dealing with other challenges that I promised to deal with on assumption of office. What I had to do is not to deal with the issue of reality, is to do what leadership is expected to do. Reorder the priorities, take into account flow, and striking, in my view, not value-free, what I consider to be a critical balance between dealing with those accumulated arrears and meeting current obligations. Those are the heart of management and of decision-making. So the result now is that we paid gratuity up to end of 2011. I have paid gratuity for, I think, about 30 years, other 7.5 years. So if my predecessors had paid their pension up to 2008, I have paid more pension now than the number of people who pensioned during my tenure. And so in trying to understand the challenge, the question is, you know, I come from a place that is rich in tradition. When you offer the drink, you know, we give some to the ancestors, which we normally pour on the ground, but not too much so they don't get drunk. But the living takes more of the alcohol. But we give both the past and the present, the living and the dead. So for me, when I look at the totality of the picture, I believe that the point I'm trying to make is that what I'm doing in government on the social sector flows from my values that have been shaped from my activism as a union leader, and some of the policies that we canvassed then, which I believe are still valid even now. One thing that was also stated in the subject for our conversation this afternoon is the question of integrity and whether people move away from idealism to reality. Let me start this aspect of conversation by drawing attention to a comment written by a columnist that you should know, not so much for the quality of what he writes or the quality of what he writes, but because he's obviously a PDP writer and he can't write better than the system he represents. He tried to challenge our current campaign slogan, which says consolidation and continuity. And I was very happy when, among other things, he said, what do they want to continue with? What does Oshiomhole and Obaseki want to continue with? A government that discriminates between people who live in GRA and those who live in the high-density area on the dubious ground that those who live in GRA are rich people, that they can't continue with a government that discriminates like that. I was happy. Because for me, that is at the heart of governance. And because politics is value-driven, governance is not value-neutral. You must consciously decide who benefits from what and who pays for it. It is how you define it that shapes the character of a government, whether it's dismissed as right-wing or celebrated as left-wing or as a moderate. When you inherit an environment in which both the high-density and the low-density areas are in bad shape, you have to choose who do you want to touch first. Sir, without any apology, I decided that I will devote more resources to the high-density areas of the city, because that is where my constituency are, the poor. But also, they are the most loyal voters. They don't vote through channel television or BBC or CNN. Have they started fighting? Are they running now? They are the one who will defy the rain, defy the sun to vote. They are even the one who drive vehicles recklessly to announce that campaign is going on, while the big men are in their double-breasted suit, watching international cable news or even watching some segment of African Magic. And this columnist couldn't understand. He sees that as a discrimination. I say, yes, government is about discrimination. If government does not discriminate, you cannot have a free society. I mean, a fair society. Particularly in a market-driven economy. If people must have the right to make so much money from the sweat of others, the state must have the courage to appropriate huge taxes from that wealth and use it to distribute to those who are shut out of the market. That is a conscious discrimination. When we raise the tax bracket of the rich to 40%, 50%, and indeed, if I have my way, at a point, we should increase it to 80%, as it is in some Nordic countries. Then you have enough to provide for those who are victims of the market. I don't subscribe to the right-wing idealist who says, everybody to himself, God for all of us. Competition based on survival of the fittest. Everybody must survive. The state responsibility is to ensure the survival of the most vulnerable group. So when I got to Edo, I decided to go to one area that was converted to waste dump. I decided not only to clear it, but to construct road around the entire neighborhood and put street light there. And I refused to put street light to government house. Conscious choice. no value free, clear discrimination.